Well, hello. It's December of 2019, and it's hard to believe that this year is already coming to an end. It was really a quick year for us, and we were able to accomplish a lot of things at Alachua County Fire Rescue. Hopefully you had time to review the email I sent out a little more than a month ago that just talked about some of our accomplishments that we were able to do through this year. And again, I want to thank many of you for helping making those things take place. It's not just one or two people that lead this organization, it's all of you out there that lead this organization and make it better. And that's what we will always continue to strive for. I'm really excited about 2020. We have some ideas that we would like to implement as the year progresses on. Some of those things I'm going to talk about here today in the podcast, and many other things that will be a continual work process to make the organization better, ultimately so that we can serve the citizens of Alachua County in a better way, in a better fashion. One of the things that we did this last week was we met with the county manager and the budget and fiscal services staff, and we discussed some of the needs that we would have projected over the next 5 years. This is something that's not always easy to do because I can't really tell you what our call load is going to be like in 3, 4, or 5 years from now and what all of our needs may be. But we did identify some known things that we believe we need to be prepared for, and really what the board needs to be prepared for when it comes to being able to pay for those things, whether that's increasing the fire assessment or more contribution from the general fund to our department, trying to give them an idea or forecast where we believe the dollars that we believe we'll need in order for those things to happen. We know just on the horizon there's some very expensive items that are coming up. You've heard me talk about the radio system in the past. We have the federal engineering, the consultant group that we hired, has pretty much finished all that they're going to do as far as identifying what areas we need towers in and what enhancements that we're looking for. And remember, that's not just Alachua County Fire Rescue, that's all the public safety agencies in Alachua County, including law enforcement. So that price tag is looking to be, between the city and the county, total expansion of about $12 million. And that's a significant price tag that the commission is going to need to budget for and identify funds for. Another thing that we're looking at is that Station 80 and Station 25, the total build out of those things, those stations, I would rather be sooner than later. But you're looking at about $3 million per station in order to build a station that's similar to the one in Waldo. We know that construction prices continue to rise every year, so we are anticipating close to $3 million for each one of those stations. You also have to keep in mind that Station 21, my goal is to have that station relocated towards the interstate. Building a new station for that would be another $3 million. And then we also placed in some additional administrative level chiefs that would be in position, an additional assistant chief along with 2 24-hour EMS district chiefs. And just to try to give them an idea of the expansion that we would need to be able to adequately function and adequately address the needs of Alachua County. Of course, in that discussion, as always, our rescue units. If you'll recall, we were advised this year or directed that we would present a flat budget because there is discussion that the general fund would be rolled back, the millage rate would be rolled back, which would basically mean that the budget that everyone had last year would be exactly the same budget that we have coming up this year. We have asked for a few enhancements, one-time cost type of things that we feel or believe that we need to be able to function appropriately. And we didn't have the opportunity to present those to her this last week, but we are hoping that in January, after they've had time to sort of mull over this 5-year budget idea, that we'll be able to present some things here in short order. The budget process lasts all the way until June, so there's still plenty of time to have those discussions with her and it is still a priority of mine that we will be able to at least request and put before her some of those needs that we believe that we have. One of the things that you may be hearing on the radio lately from your district chiefs is the change in arrival reports of structure fires. They have all been through the blue card training. Chief Taylor and myself have been through the blue card training. Chief Cowart has had it in the past. Chief Vogel is getting ready to go through it now. The blue card training really, I thought was an excellent training. It's an online course. It takes about 40 hours to complete it. And it really opens our eyes up. And as you take the course, you'll see it opens your eyes up to a lot of different things that maybe we have taken for granted or we have gotten lax on. One of those things certainly being accountability and scene safety. Not only does the language change about working fire and being on deck and recycling crews, so there's some language terminology difference, but all of it is done in the focus of trying to keep firefighters more safe by having adequate resources on scene and knowing where all those resources are at any given time. So you're going to hear more and more about Blue Card as 2020 goes on. Our goal is to eventually have our personnel trained in Blue Card. It's a rather expensive training to go through. So the training department is trying to work that out. How can we teach as much of Blue Card as we possibly can so that all of our personnel understand not only the language but also understand the focus on firefighter safety. You know, there's been a lot of changes in legislation lately with the cancer bill and certainly the heart and lung bill that's been there, and we really have a priority to make sure that all of you and all of us go home after every shift. And so you're going to see a major focus in that in this coming year. Another thing that happened this last week is ISO came in and did an evaluation. Lieutenant Rulapal headed that project up. We really appreciate all the work that he did. There is a lot of background information that ISO is looking for, and it takes a lot of work to gather all that data and bring it together and then meet with ISO. And so they came last week, and Chief Vogel and Lieutenant Rulapal met with the representatives from ISO, spent the day with them, and we're thinking we're going to maintain the same rating that we had the last ISO rating time, but there's some things that we identified as some problem areas that we need to address really quickly, and one of those is hydrant maintenance and hydrant records. And so Chief Vogel in January, well before January, is going to release to you an updated hydrant policy. We're going to go back to the hydrant cards for a period of time until we can find a stable, reliable software where we can store all of that information. And there's going to be a big push beginning in January for hydrants to be completed, and it'll run January through March. So you'll be busy in the springtime doing hydrants, and then the following year we'll go back to our October through March process of getting hydrants completed. Another thing that we're working on is a pre-plan routine to be able to adequately go out and pre-plan businesses at an appropriate time frame. ISO is big on that. And so you're going to see some different things that take place, and we're going to have the training that's provided for you so that you're fully aware of what you need to be doing and what's expected of you. You know, one of the good things about being out doing hydrants and doing pre-plans is that you're learning your territory, you're learning your businesses the whole time, you're getting an idea so that at 3 o'clock in the morning, those things become automatic. And those more of those things that can be automatic for you are less things that you have to think about in those critical incident times. So all for the benefit of the public that we serve. I want to announce a couple of retirements. Chief Harp retired late last month. Certainly want to thank him for all his years of service. I know I sent an email out about that. Chief Harp was my first lieutenant when I was a firefighter in '94, and I want to thank him for his years of service. And also just received notification that Lieutenant Ward Batten is retiring. His last shift will be January 18th. So I would encourage you to go by his station and visit with him. I think he's got a few shifts of vacation mixed in between now and January 18th. So be sure to look at Telestaff. But be sure to go by and pay your respects to Lieutenant Batten and his years of service with Alachua County Fire Rescue. Something else on a sadder note is Chief Cliff Chapman retired from us in 2008. When I was hired, he was over the training department and served in that position until he retired. Chief Chapman was transferred to hospice today. He's been battling cancer for the last couple of years. I'm not sure how much longer he has, but we made sure that he was transferred from North Florida to hospice in one of our units and was done in a very dignified way. I want to thank Quint 23 and District 6 and Engine 24 and Rescue 62 for transferring him today. We were at Hospice House when he got there, and we had a nice little talk with the family, and the Hospice House actually presented him a First Responders Medal and plaque along with an American flag blanket for him, and the family was really touched. And Chief Chapman was an instrumental part in this organization. He did a lot for us, and when I was coming up, he was really the go-to person for everything EMS here at Alachua County. He served on the State EMS Advisory Board, was really well-known, well-recognized. He won the Mark Fingerette Award, which is a state EMS award for his years of dedication and enhancement to EMS. He actually came to us from Bradford County many, many years ago. So he had a long career in EMS, was really a pioneer in a lot of the things that we done and still do to this day for Alachua County Fire Rescue. So I would ask that you lift your prayers up to him and his family during this difficult time. We have a lieutenant out of class course that's going to begin in January. The dates, I believe, have been sent already in an email. So if you're interested in that course, please be sure to sign up for it. We will have a district chief out of class course tentatively in February. I don't think it's going to be past February. It's just whether or not, how early in February we're going to have it. And get those vacancies filled as quickly as we can. Obviously, Ward's position will be vacant starting January 18th. Chief Harp's position is vacant today. So we want to get those positions filled, but we don't want to rush into doing it. We want to do it the right way to make sure that everyone has an opportunity who's eligible to go through an out-of-class course and to also develop a test that's fair for everyone. So that we can ensure that we have the best candidates for the position and the best person in the position. Right now we're posting for rescue lieutenant. We have 7 that are going through orientation. I believe in just a week or so they're going to be released to do their orientation rides. The schedule is that January 6th they'll be released to full duty. Rescue 34 officially will go in service on January 6th. But looks like we're going to put it on the road January 1 when we have extra people. When we can fill it, we're going to fill it. So that's moving forward very quickly. I'm excited about that. A lot of people are working on getting one of our backup rescues ready to be placed in service full time. We also have our EMS lieutenant PRNs that are open for advertisement, and we have our firefighter classification that's open position right now that we are advertising. So looking probably to hire sometime with these groups of the rescue lieutenants and firefighters. We would probably hire them in April by the time we work out all the application processes, the background checks, the physicals, the interviews, the whole 9 yards. We're probably looking at April to onboard those individuals. Really pleasantly surprised and really happy about all the graduations that we've had in the last week and a half from EMT school the Fire Academy, and for paramedic school. And it really is the sign of a young, growing department. Very excited about it. For EMT school, Brandon Cook and Christopher White have completed their EMT program. I don't know if they've taken the National Registry or not, but if you see them, congratulate them. We had a number of individuals that went through fire school. Zoe Saminsky, Kayla Wilson, Jesse Hearn, rescue lieutenants. They all completed Fire Academy. And then we also had Amanda Fritz and Jacob Roden, who are PRN in the PICLO division, complete their fire certification this week. For paramedic school, very encouraging. A number of y'all went to paramedic school and have graduated. Sean Anderson, Chris Trahan, Luke Holton, Ryan Sullivan, Brian Aparicio, Kevin Rojas, Haley Montesmith, Ryan Kelly, and Alyssa Harden. Congratulations. What a wonderful, great accomplishment, and really what a sign of things to come for us in the future. We have 11 more that are going under scholarship with ACFR. One additional one on top of that, I believe, that's going. So 12 total that are getting ready to enroll in Santa Fe's program for the shift-friendly paramedic program that begins in January. And lastly, I want to do the call of the month for November. And I have missed the last couple of talking about it in podcasts, and I apologize for that. But the call of the month for November of 2019 happened on November 18th. And I'll read you the call notes from it. Rescue 21 responded to a woman in labor. The patient was fully assessed inside and then moved to the unit via the stretcher. Her water had not broken yet, and judging by the narrative, it didn't seem that the delivery was imminent. But once they got in the unit, the patient had an urge to push, and she delivered twins. And that's quite an anxiety level that I would have in the back of a unit with not one but two children being born. And those deliveries were 2 minutes apart. And both of them were delivered while in the amniotic sac. And so the rescue lieutenant had to rupture the sac and suction the clamp and the cord on the first baby, and did the same thing again 2 minutes later with the second baby. And really, that's a rare occasion. 1 out of 80,000 births take place that way. So this rescue lieutenant knew what to do and did the right thing. His documentation was excellent, and a baby girl and a baby boy were both healthily delivered in the back of one of our rescue units. So I want to congratulate Rescue Lieutenant Jesse Hearn and firefighter Jake Levin on that accomplishment of delivering those babies, and they'll be receiving a citation in the next few days. Well, that's all I have for the month of December. Certainly appreciate all the efforts that you put in on a daily basis. Pray that you stay safe, and certainly pray that you have a wonderful Christmas celebration. Take care. God bless.